Hey guys, welcome back to Pro Row 784. We're out here with Brandon tonight. Tonight's going to be a podcast of our previous race, and then we're also going to be doing we're going to be speaking about the Talladega race that we got coming up. So you guys are watching the video. We're going to discuss what happened at Florida at the Wild Boar race for Brandon, and we'll basically discuss what we think might go on at the Talladega race. So how you doing, Brandon?
Doing good.
Sore?
Not really, to be honest with you. Not too bad. I was a little bit sore Sunday. I'm still trying to get back into race shape, or at least I think I am.
Yeah.
But I feel pretty good. Not too bad at all, to be honest with you.
What did the track end up being like at the end? Was it a typical Florida deal?
Typical Florida race. Nothing crazy, nothing special. I mean, sand whoops, and that was about it. The whole racetrack was sand whoops.
There was some pictures that I saw, and you and Collier and several other riders, obviously, but going through some of those turns, and it looked like you could bury the tire over the dirt. It was that the ruts were that deep.
It was deep.
Yeah.
And obviously the XC1 guys, man, that track, I know.
Got even more deep.
I will say, it wasn't as rough as what I was expecting, to be completely honest with you. Normally the track gets a little bit rougher than what it did this past weekend. The track wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to get. So
yeah.
I will say that. I mean, it was rough, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it could have definitely gotten worse.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, and I was on the sideline. I watched it, so we'll get into it. So we'll talk about it. So Thursday we were going to try to get up there and try to leave out here at a decent time on Thursday, even though it is a local race for us. We still wanted to get there, try to get there a little bit early, maybe cook a little bit and that kind of stuff, just hang out. Well, that didn't happen. We just got behind at work and ended up not getting out of here in time. But we show up late Thursday night about I guess 9 o'clock. And we've never parked on 4x4 Pro Row at this race because we was with the Reese's team and that stuff last year.
But we knew where the Pro Row
we knew about where they're at. We pull up there, and it looked different. Yeah. So we didn't see. So Gncc for the Pro 4x4 and the Pro Women WXC, they usually got stakes out with their numbers on them, or they got their numbers painted on the ground. So. We didn't see any of that. So Brandon and I got out. We're flashlighting around, and we're like, "What the heck?"
We didn't see no stakes. We didn't see
stakes. One camper parked there, and we're like, "It's kind of weird." And so anyway, turns out that 4x4 Pro Row, they had us down by XC1 Pro Row.
Yep.
We went down there, and I'm driving up there, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" You know, all the lights are on, and I told Brandon, I said, "Look at this, perfect place to park."
Yep.
And it was so awesome. Gncc, I want to thank them guys for putting us all together. We were actually parked on the other side, directly across from XC1.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. And they did tell us that they were going to try to do some more of that this season for the WXC and the 4x4 Pro. We're going to try to park us together and or give us our own Pro Row. But Brandon, we look pretty professional.
Yeah, I mean,
all
the whole
4x4 guys.
row looked good. Everything looked. It was pretty sweet just to be across from the XC1 guys, who you don't get the opportunity that often. So to be able to set up all of our tents and everything like that with all of our designs and all that kind of stuff. It looked good. And then obviously all of our bikes were sitting out there, just like how the XC1 guys do it. And it just looked good. I mean, everybody was on. Everybody was professional, and it looked good.
Yeah, it did. So we had some WXC women. They had their tents up. We had our tent up. We had the other 4x4 riders. And listen, it was genuinely like it was cool. So anyway, so the tenfold of that is when the customer or the friends and folks and fans that come around to see the XC1, they look directly across there. There we are too. Yep. So it created more traffic for all of us. And
we talked to more people. I feel like
it
gave us more opportunity to see people that we don't normally see, that kind of thing, that can't find the 4x4 Pro Row or don't know really that it even exists.
Yeah.
So it was cool because they obviously know the XC1 Pro Row exists. So they come down there and then they see us across the street.
Yeah,
it works hand in hand.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing on it, and we got to move on. But so we were there after your race. Karen and I were sitting in a launch chair. A couple other people with us there up underneath our tent. Carrie Joe, which owns GNCC, comes walking by the tent because the XC1 had just started and they were all migrating. Anyway, she comes over and she's walking in front of our tent and looking around and everything. And I stopped her and I told her thank you. And she goes, look at you guys. she goes, "Oh, you guys look very professional," and she says, "This is what we want." And I said, "Yeah, this is what we want." You know what I mean? Yep. Because it gives us more recognition for the fans. Also, they can find us. So that was pretty good. Kudos to GNCC for doing that. So so we get there late. So we wake up Friday morning and biscuits and gravy, baby. And so we ate biscuits and gravy again, and had a good time. So we got the quad out, got the tent all set up, and got our pit area set up. We was having a great time. Quad was ready. We didn't have to do nothing to it. It was race ready to go. You go get the bike from the bike rental, and you and Austin Wilson decide that you guys are going to bicycle this sandy track. Yeah. And that's what you did. So tell us what you saw when you bicycled the track.
Yeah. So I was feeling good, and we went out there and biked we got our bike rentals, and we went out there, and the track was typical Florida. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, there wasn't nothing crazy. It was what I expected to see. It was nothing crazy different than what I was expecting it. So a bunch of one line kind of sand whooped areas that wasn't whooped out at the time, but I could definitely see getting whooped out. And the track walk, I mean, there was nothing special. There wasn't really any crazy great lines or anything like that. There was a few lines here and there, but it wasn't nothing.
No, it wasn't something crazy. But the one thing that you did notice was the entire track had been bulldozed.
Yeah,
and it was flatter than flat.
Yeah, it looked like the whole track has been bulldozed. Biking the track, it went by really quickly because it just hauled butt straight pretty much. I mean, it wasn't nothing crazy. So
I remember you getting back and you're like, man, I mean, you were back in an hour and a half.
Yep,
or less. And you got back and says, the track may be pretty short. And but it's because of the smoothness, and you guys just went on a trail ride basically with the e-bikes and all that stuff. But it turned out to be a longer lapse than what we all anticipated. So which we knew that the time was going to slow down. So one other thing I want to touch on Friday. So CJ, your brother, and a couple of his buddies were coming up, and they were bringing the trailer and a couple of golf carts for us to ride, and they were going to stay in the trailer. So we parked them on the other side of us, but really like sort of close. And unfortunately, so they got there, I don't know, golly, it was late, 10:30. We were all exhausted, getting ready to go to bed. And I was in bed, just had went to bed, just had put my shorts and shirt on and all that. And all of a heard sudden beep, 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 damn noise, carbon monoxide detector was going off. And I'm like, hell, I didn't even know where the hell the damn thing was at. I was looking for it in the camper, trying to figure out where. You weren't in there. You were with CJ, and them, y'all was in the trailer. Yep. But Mom was in there with me, and I'm like, I'm running around trying to find where the hell this damn thing's at. I thought it was a smoke detector, and I don't know, my stupid ass, you know what I mean? But anyway, it turns out that it was underneath. It's carbon monoxide, I guess, is really low. LP gas is really low. Smoke is really high. Anyway, I figured that out. So I turned it off. And literally 3 minutes later, it come back on. Mm-hmm. So I knew I had an issue. So I pulled the fuse out of the damn thing. So I got my shoes on, went outside, and went over there, and I said, "Hey, y'all, what was that beeping?" And I said, "It was damn carbon monoxide." Anyway, turns out we discovered what happened was, and this is very, very precautionary, and didn't realize this, but our exhaust from our generator comes out on the left front side of the motorhome, sort of. And that's where CJ was parked close to us with the trailer. And what was happening was our slide also slides out on the driver's side. So when the exhaust was hitting the trailer, I think it was deflecting back and leaching maybe into the slide a little bit. And that's where the carbon monoxide detector was at, causing that to do that. Anyway, long story short, scared us half to death, and I was scared to go to sleep, to be honest with you, because you hear all these horror stories about that and that kind of stuff. So it might be a good reminder for everybody to check their carbon monoxide and smoke detectors in their RVs. But we got that corrected, end up deflecting the exhaust away and that kind of stuff. But I didn't smell anything. It was kind of weird, you know. It didn't smell anything. So we move on to Saturday. You wake up Saturday morning. You make your typical eggs and bacon and.
Yeah, actually, Curtis, one of my brother's friends, cooked for us, and we had bacon, we had eggs, pancakes, all that kind of stuff. I decided to opt out for a little bit of bacon and a couple eggs, kind of my typical breakfast for what I do for race mornings, just because I know that's kind of what works and what I feel best with, so that's exactly what I did. Even though I wanted the pancakes, I didn't do it. So then we went down there and watched the Ute start. I took Dad actually with me. Went down there, we watched the start, and then we watched a wood section that there was a bunch of lines in. And I wanted to take Dad down there just to kind of pinball an idea and that kind of thing and what line was the best. So we went down there and there was a bunch of lines. And even the Ute developed a bunch of new lines I didn't even see. So really didn't even have a plan going after the start. Didn't really know where I was going to go, but I figured it out during the race. But we went down there, looked at the lines, and then came back after the Ute, halfway probably through the Ute race, and started getting everything ready. I ate my banana and peanut butter jelly, and yeah, get ready and try to talk to as many people as I can. I know race days are hectic for me. Just making sure I'm hitting all my P's and Q's correctly. And I know people, the fans, and all that kind of stuff, trying to come up and see me and that kind of thing. It's really difficult, but I try to make time to involve them and that kind of thing. But I'm also trying to stay focused on what I got going on and all that kind of stuff.
We had a lot of folks come by because this is our semi-local race, and a lot of Florida trail riders coming by. Wanda, Logan, Sheer, and his father come by, and they hung out with us. In fact, I hung out with Logan quite a bit during the race. And Jason Lyons come by and stayed for some time with us. Yep. Then we had John Boy and his wife and Will. He raced that morning. But anyway, had a great time. And but yeah, Saturday morning. So we went down there and so we saw these lines. And I remember now you told me. I remember you told me. Now we're going to come out here, but then the lines really spread out, and it was all legal because they had arrows everywhere.
Arrows all the way around it.
And there was, you sit there and you look at it and you're like, I think that might be a little better. Here comes these youth riders on their XC1 row. Yep. And these guys are smoking fast. And next thing you know, they come, one goes that way. I mean, it's like, and then I get splattered with mud. And I'm like, did you see that one? No, what about this? And it was like,
it was pretty gnarly.
It was pretty gnarly.
It was cool to see that, though, just because it gave a huge opportunity. You had to pick out a line and go for it. It was a situation where there was probably a couple of lines that could be faster, but the line you chose, you got to stick in it and rock out.
Yeah, once you turn that corner, I mean, wherever your quad was pointed, you had to go. You just had to get after it. So
it was cool because that adds a little bit more stress on us, and it adds a little bit more like drive and trying to make sure I'm hitting my lines perfect, that kind of thing. And when you're battling with somebody, you get to that section, it's even more stressful.
Correct.
You never know if they have a better line.
He could
or
go wide. Yeah, exactly. They could go wide. You could go this way, and it's but when we left there, we had not picked out. We didn't have a good line. There was a couple really decent.
There was a couple lines that we had picked out that was like, those are probably pretty good, but we didn't have a line that was like, all right, that was way better. It wasn't a situation like that, which is cool because it keeps it close too. So
yeah, so then we get back in the quad's pretty much ready. We just had to do a few air pressures and that kind of stuff. So you get ready, you go to the start line, and get called to the line, that kind of stuff. You line up sort of on the outside. Normally you're lower, sort of in the inside, pointing right toward the pole, but you decided to line up outside this time. And I'm gonna tell you what, and you can take us through it, but you took off in that thing. Rocked out.
Yeah,
you and Caden Worf had a really good battle there.
The start was a little crazy. We took off, and I don't know exactly what happened, but it seemed like Cody somehow touched my rear tire. I don't know if I pushed in or Caden pushed in or pushed Cody into me, but we all kind of got all sideways, and Cody got the worst end of the stick, and me and Caden ended up pushing through and
racing for the whole shot.
And we ended up racing for the whole shot, and I got it, but man, dude,
barely. I mean, it had to be inches.
Yeah, it was not by much. No. But then he went in there and kind of got boggled up in that second corner, and it gave me a good gap going into the woods. But yeah, I mean, going to the race, I mean, I felt good. So getting a good start, getting a whole shot, exactly what I wanted to be. That was the position I wanted to be in. I was happy with that. Didn't want to be in second. Didn't want to be in third. I wanted to be leading the pack. Because I know how to ride Florida. I feel confident. I was feeling really good. Yeah. So yeah, we get through the race, and I
was going to ask you a question. So we discussed on Friday maybe potentially the dust would be really bad on the first lap because it had been graded. Yeah. Of course, you was in the lead. Did you ever look back?
I didn't notice.
You didn't notice anything.
I wasn't paying attention.
Wonder if those guys were really eating dust. Probably were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So of course, you was in the lead. So, and it doesn't show nothing on the GoPro because you were in the lead. But before we get into the race, so we tested extensively on shocks, and we did several different things and tried different things, and it was a total different setup than what we had been running. Never ran that setup before. How did that work? Was it?
Yeah, I was happy with it.
Okay.
We're still improving. We're trying to get it better, but I was pretty happy with it. Just wish it could have been a little bit better in a few areas, but I've already talked to James and Santo and all them guys up there, and we're working on it. So we're trying to get it better. They know what I'm looking for. Me and James talked extensively last night about it. So we're figuring it out. We could always improve. So that's what we're trying to do.
So what was happening was, and you can explain to the folks what was happening is down here in the big whoops and the high speed stuff, the quad would just bottom out in the rear, right?
Yeah.
And so we got those. So we started playing with some shock links and that kind of stuff, and it's really made a big difference. And not to say that it's the end all be all, because the problem is
perfect. I mean,
you give up in other areas.
The setup we're running this weekend is completely different from what I just ran.
Yep,
so
exactly,
it all works. But you know what? We're trying to figure out what works best is what we're trying to do.
But we're learning a lot, though.
Yeah, we're learning.
You and I, as a group, as a couple, are learning so much about shocks and the way the quad handles and that kind of stuff, and for that I'm excited, because it's only trains us and helps us for later on. Yep. But yeah, so you go into the race. Here you are, you get the whole shot, and you're leading the race, and you like to be first or second, but this particular race you're first, and had a good race going. You pulled up to like maybe a 30-second gap. Cody and Gavin Jenkins were having a little bit of battle for second and third, and but once Cody cleared Gavin, he put some pressure on you there toward the third lap or whatever it was. But how did you feel? First, second lap, quad good, everything feeling all right?
So we get off the start, I get the whole shot and exactly where I wanted to be, and felt good. I pulled I think it was 35-second lead that first lap, and I was confident. I felt like my riding was pretty good. That first lap's a little treacherous just because there was literally no rut. Like I said, it was bulldozed, and the track was smooth.
A little slippery.
So it was really slick. There was no traction there. So I took the first lap kind of easy. And the second lap, it got a little rougher and that kind of thing. And I felt good that second lap. And I felt like I put in a pretty good lap that second lap. And started running into the lappers that third lap. And obviously the horn kind of took a crap on us, which is unfortunate. Because on this track specifically, lappers are really, not that lappers are the issue, the track is the issue for the lappers, because the ruts get so deep, the lappers can't move out of the way. I think in some of the GoPro footage, you can actually see some of that actually happen. It's part of it. The horns, I would like to have them, but that doesn't win or lose a race either. So
I was going to say, and the lappers want to get out of your way. The problem is they can't. But then when you didn't have a horn, it allowed you to really get up on top of them.
We knew this going into the race. It wasn't a situation. The horn wasn't important.
Yes.
We didn't think it would go bad. It's a brand new horn. So this kind of part of it. But kept focused. I kept riding. I just used my voice instead. And
it wasn't very loud. I can still tell you like hoarse.
So but yeah, I mean, going to that third lap, I felt pretty good. And then that fourth lap, I believe.
No, hang on. So let's talk about our pit stop.
Yeah.
We screwed that pit stop up.
Yeah, pit stop was not good.
So typical, everything, but where we was pitting at, which was kind of a weird place, we shouldn't have chosen that place. But when you come out of the corner there, you could either go this way or this way. Well, we had crazy thinking. It's like, if he's behind somebody, he'll be able to go this way. Well, the problem is that is exactly what happened. You were behind a lapper as soon as we saw you. The problem is you chose the line that we weren't really prepared for, and it allowed all of us to just get jungled up. In fact, when you pulled up there, CJ and I and Kyla, I think we all ran into one another. Yep. So anyway, it turned out to be like an 18-second stop instead of like a 10-second stop, and that hurt us a little bit. And I was trying to relay some information to you because the damn pit board situation wasn't working out like I wanted it to, that kind of stuff. And so anyway, and then so we fumbled a little bit. So that aggravated you a little bit, as far as we had a decent gap, but the gap really shrunk at that particular point. But you were still going on pretty good. So still had a pretty good lead.
I felt good. After the pit stop, I think Cody ended up catching sight of me a little bit. That would be the beginning of the third lap. But yeah, all through the third lap, I felt good, and then he ended up catching me that fourth lap, I believe. No, he ended up catching me at the end of the third lap.
End of the third lap, yes.
Because we came in.
But through the white flag, he was right on top.
Right on top of me.
Yes.
So yeah, he ended up catching me that lap we pitted on. I think he ended up catching sight of me. Obviously, that gives you a little bit more energy, a little bit boost, and caught sight, and we ended up running together that last little bit, and going around the last lap. I mean, we get the white flag. He's right behind me. Obviously, I'm feeling pressure, but I still felt good. It's not like I'm. Yeah. I feel like I could still win the race. It wasn't like a situation where I was way out of league. And, man, well, I don't know. It was only probably a mile or two in.
It was right after the big ponds and everything.
Yeah, it was only, I think, like 2 miles
in. Now, you weren't discovering any issues but prior to this as far as skipping or running? Yeah.
I was only 2 miles in, and ended up the bike. I went around a corner, and the bike shut off. I don't know if most of y'all watched the GoPro. It just shut off. I mean, no power, no nothing. Screen went black. Yeah, nothing. And tried to refire. Obviously, nothing happened. Dash didn't come back on. And Cody was pretty close behind me there, and ended up getting around me. Ended up, it was right in front of actually where I believe the Wharf's pitch was, and the whole KMK off road. The pit
which was very
right
very
there.
Fortunate for us.
So then, obviously, they jumped over. They came over and helped me and fixed we got the bike fixed. It ended up being a negative cable on the battery, or the positive cable on the battery, and just, man, I don't know. We touched it before going into the race. It's just unfortunate. It came a little loose, and it ended up losing power. We thought it was something to do with the pingle. We were hunting in the wrong area. We should have maybe looked there first. We looked at fuses. We looked at all kinds of stuff, and we went back to the battery where it gets its power from, and it was a little loose, and tightened it back up and fired right back up. So just unfortunate, but it happens. So it's a situation where it's not going to happen again. I can tell you that. We definitely fixed that issue. That will not be happening again. Just kind of unlucky. I didn't really expect to do 5 laps either. That was something that was unexpected.
That's a whole other entire story.
But just part of it.
The lengths of the races are the first 2 races has been really long, you know what I mean? So,
but it's all right. I mean,
it's part of racing. Yeah. And it's hard for GNCC to try to figure that out, because at some point you guys are turning 22 laps, and it turns in the race it's 26 laps because of the traffic and the you know. So it's hard for them to figure out, especially whenever the lap times are right on that 140 or 145 mark, you know what I mean? Then they go in that extra lap. But man, that race was long, you know what I mean?
And what I think loosened the battery connector up mainly was just how jarring of the track was. It was so rough, the whoops, that kind of thing. It just loosened the battery connector up a little bit, and that's all it took. And I think what happened was it got in the perfect position where it wasn't connecting to the battery. It was just, I mean, it was a hair loose. It wasn't crazy loose.
The bolt was actually still there.
Everything was still there, and it was just a little loose, and it come up, and it just disconnected the battery, and we didn't realize it till a little bit later. I think literally 4 or 5 minutes. But got it figured out. We got it fixed. We got it all set back, and put the plastics all back on it, and got back going. Obviously knew race was going to be over unless Cody had a drastic issue.
As far as the win,
like how I did. But yeah, so I just kept on pushing that last lap, and ended up coming through the checker flag second. I'm happy with a second. Did I want to win? Obviously, it's a Florida race. I was leading the whole thing. He ended up catching me that last lap, and I think it was going to be a good battle. I feel like I could have won for sure, because I knew the track on that side of the property wasn't very lenient for the ability to pass. So it gave me a little bit more confidence, because I knew I could try to hold back. I could make my bike a little wide if I had to, that kind of thing. And I felt good that last lap. It just unfortunately I didn't end up getting the lap that I wanted. Yeah,
and then of course you'd be hitting lappers and that kind of stuff. So it's it turns into a damn train track. You know what I mean? So it's really, really tough. So. All right, so you finished second. We had a good day. Listen, it could have been better. We had a great time. Ended up coming home Saturday night, getting everything washed and clean, and now our focus is on, we got a brand new racetrack we're going to, Talladega, Alabama. We will be at the Talladega Speedway, adjacent the property is there, but we're parked on the adjacent field there. Don't know anything about the terrain, so to speak. Everybody's very excited and fired up, which we are too. Probably going to be a little tight, I would say, because I'm sure they're cutting the tracks.
New tracks are they're a little tighter. They're tight. I'm sure there's probably a bunch of undergrowth or whatever, and the track's just going to be tighter just because of the fact we haven't been there yet. Like the Tennessee race was this past season, a little bit tighter, but I feel like this season it's going to be pretty good. I think we opened up a few new lines and made the track flow a little bit better, things like that.
And I think that same thing will happen during this race too. I mean, some of the lines will open up, materialize, but more than likely when you go to bike the track on Friday, my guess is it's going to be like a one-lane track, but it'll open up, I'm sure. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I'm excited to go to Talladega, something different, something brand new. It's gonna be pretty cool. You know what I mean? There again, we're going to get to learn different things, and not even sure what the terrain, what kind of sand it is. I'm sure it's dirt, and should probably clay dirt, I would say. So you looked at the weather? I've not even paid attention to the weather.
I haven't looked at it one bit.
I haven't either. So I don't know whether I don't know that there's anything going on. I don't know. Who the hell knows? You know what I mean? But very excited. So we're going to try to leave out of here and mosey our way up there. Try to get there on Thursday night, and hopefully it'd be nice if Gncc gets us another pro road like that. That'd be badass. Yeah. If not, then we'll take what we got and we'll set up and we're ready to go. You know what I mean? Our quad's not quite yet done. We got to put plastics back on it, sitting over there. Yep. So our washed and cleaned up, ready to go. We just going to assemble it and put the plastics back on it. A few things we did. Obviously looked at these damn cables and all that stuff. Now you will be running a quad, a different quad. This is the four-wheeler here, what we call the blue four-wheeler. This is the one you raced last year at the end of the season. The purple four-wheeler will go back to Camp Coker. Yes. And but anyway, Brandon will be on a different ATV. So, anything to say about Talladega before I move on?
No, I think it's gonna be cool. I'm excited for it. I'm excited. Yeah, I mean the whole situation. I'm going to Alabama. Never raced in Alabama, so it's interesting in that part of it. And just excited to go to a new venue. I think it'll be
just
cool.
something different. Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. Had a couple questions. So one of the questions is. And I just got two questions, then we'll get out of here because we're running up on 30 minutes here. So the first question is a viewer wanted to know motivation. So this whole entire racing is built on motivation and confidence and that kind of stuff because it's more of you, the rider, and which we really like that. He wants to know what kind of music you listen to. You listen to any kind of music to get you going? Is there anything that you do to psych yourself up? You're like, I'm ready to go. Is there anything he's wants specifically? If it is music, he wants to know who do you listen to? You listen to like old country music, like 1940s Willie Nelson and all that? Or?
To be honest with you, I don't normally listen to music before an event or a race. If I do, it's not often. I will say that. It's just. It's not that it doesn't motivate me. I just don't take the time or do it kind of thing. I have so much stuff going on that day. I'm busy enough to not even worry about music, that kind of thing. I keep myself motivated and excited that way. Yeah. I don't really do anything specifically, but if I was going to listen to like a music or something like that, I would name artists. I don't really have like a specific song or anything like that, but like some Nickelback, I think that's really good. That kind of puts me in a good mood for that. Maybe some rap, a little bit of rap. I don't know.
Do you listen to music when you work out, like in the gym? Yeah. A lot of people do that. So is that what you listen to, Nickelback and all that stuff?
Stuff like that. Kind of like some 2000s rock, like kind of that era of stuff, and kind of keeps me going, that kind of thing in the gym. And also, if I do listen to music, that's what I would listen to. Yeah. I don't do it hardly ever. Before a race or anything like that, but if I did, that would be probably my go-to.
And then this particular guy that asked that question, I could see him listening to Nickelback, that kind of stuff. This is Drew that asked that, and cool dude. He's a renegade guy too. So second question is, I had another viewer ask, we are concentrating on the Gncc series. Obviously, people know that we're funding it ourselves and trying to do it ourselves this season, and just back to old school kind of stuff, right? So it makes it a little tough on us. And but they're wanting to know if you're going to try to do any more races up north. Florida Trail Riders. This particular person asked specifically Mid-East or Southern Roots. Southern Roots is a later, it starts later in the season, but Mid-East is going on right now.
Most likely no. I will say if an event pops up and I feel the urge to drive the 10 hours to go up there and go race, I'll go do it. If I had the weekend off and if I feel like I want to go ride a four-wheeler, I'll go do it. But it's not like I have a goal to go out there and do any more races other than my national events that I'm doing. Just because of the fact of I'm trying to put everything in I can.
The economics of it just doesn't allow us.
Into the national stuff. So I'm just making sure everything's focused in line, all that kind of stuff. So taking the extra weekend to make sure everything's ready here or go to a race. Sometimes I got to take the extra weekend and make sure everything's ready to go here. Because I got to make sure the bike's ready, just the whole 9 yards on the four-wheeler. And obviously me as well. Don't want to put too much strain on my body. But yeah, that's kind of my plan. I don't think I will be at any. Now, obviously, if the opportunity presents itself and it happens, then I'll do it. But if it's a situation where I feel confident with where I'm at and I feel like I don't need to race and that kind of thing, I'll probably sit it out and make sure I got everything ready to go here.
There was a couple years ago. Hell, I think you done 30-something races. You know,
it was a lot. It was a lot, and I feel like that helped me.
It certainly does.
It boosted me up,
Sure.
like riding the four-wheeler and that kind of thing, racing at race pace. Now you could overdo it too, but I feel like that has prolonged me. I feel like I've gotten better over those years of doing that. Now I feel like I'm at the point where I don't have to, unless I want to, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, so let's close this thing up. So we've been talking about 30 minutes here, and I just want to I was going to try to keep these things under 30 minutes if we can, but I enjoyed it again. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Got to talk about your race, and you guys next Tuesday we're going to be doing the same thing. I usually try to post these things on Wednesday night normally. So if you guys are watching this, usually Wednesday night I'll try to post it. I don't try not to edit a lot of this stuff, and in fact, I haven't edited anything in the last 2 videos, and probably not going to this one either, just because this is the way we are here. Okay, so we're sitting here in our shop, our quads are sitting here behind us, that kind of stuff. So just want it to be raw and let you guys see what what Brandon thinks about the races last and coming up here. So if you guys have any questions, please send them in to me. Or send them to the YouTube channel, and sometimes I answer the questions early. But if it's specifically and asking Brandon a question, I will ask him. And if you want to ask me a question, go ahead and ask me. Sometimes I'll answer them on the YouTube or whatever the hell, you know what I mean. So all right, guys. All right, till next time, we'll see you guys.